Welcome back, everyone, to Tarot Journeys with Guy. How's everybody doing? I hope your week has gone well. I took a break for a week. Not really much of a break. Took a break from being online. Honestly, I didn't want to add to the BS storm that is the internet right now. And just for my own sanity, I needed to take a bit of a break. Also, I had a bunch of things happen in the last couple of weeks, but here we are, we're back. What a crazy ride we're on. Now, the world situation is, well, the immediate view is very dire, okay? Like that's pretty obvious. But on the back end of it, there seems to be definitely a pushback and positive motions towards waking people up, let's just say. And that, that's what's the most important thing that we have to sort of realize. Now, last week, I think one of the big things was Elon Musk on Joe Rogan. Now, it's so interesting watching, especially both of them. I'm not too fond of either of them, to be honest with you. It's interesting to watch these two flip their narrative or have them kind of come around and awaken. Now, Elon Musk fully coming out and saying the big epidemic is the woke mind virus, which I've been telling people about this for years and years and years, almost a decade in a way, directly calling it a mind virus, okay? But it's good to see someone come forth in the mainstream so that people can sort of register this. He also basically said to Joe Rogan why exactly he bought Twitter, and it was because he, in light of this sort of wokeness, this mind virus taking over via social media, he saw Twitter being sort of hijacked, I guess, by the government and being a propaganda arm and implementing much of this, and he wanted to prevent it. He wanted to stop it, which is awesome. That's what we knew. We knew this all along. And also coming out against climate change, climate crisis, constructed, manufactured to trick us into accepting an AI-driven control mechanism, I guess is kind of what it is, even though he's developing his own. And oh man, and coming out against the green energy thing. So, and it's funny, I mean, to me, it's like controlled opposition. This is what we're kind of seeing. And also kind of a replacement. He is definitely speaking the same language as Alex Jones, for instance, like almost identically. And it's almost like, yeah, he's like the replacement for Alex Jones, who Alex Jones was the replacement potentially for William Cooper and Ted Gunderson. And he mentions these guys. Now, if you go back with him, he was against all of these people. And he's always called both sides. And who do we believe and who do we not believe in this whole thing? And you just kind of got to you got to take it all with a grain of salt. I think David Icke is another one that's like that. That's always been sort of you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt. And I mean, a lot of what these guys have been saying has come true, has come to light, has been sort of dead on. So basically, like what we've seen, this is kind of what the deep state was sort of positioning the whole time, was to create this division in the world and isolate the United States and I guess Israel, because that's exactly what's happened. Is the Western nations, namely the United States and Israel, have been isolated and are being deemed as the enemy. But it's like both sides, like, oh man, it's a terrible scenario, right? Like, and so yesterday, I guess there was, again, thousands and thousands of people protesting all over the Western world, like big protests in London again. There was some big protests in DC. And, and it's being utilized and being funded by these same people, and both sides are kind of, and we kind of know this, but yet we're being sort of thrust into this duality in the world where we have to choose a side, and part of that is this controlled demolition of the system, so that when it's finally done, who comes out on the other side is the deep state, the cabal, the power elitists come forth as the saviors of humanity, of the saviors of the system, and that being a part of that great reset. And to me, it's so obvious. It's very obvious to many, many people, but in many ways, the machination, like the machine of this, has already started. And yes, we have to keep going forward, right? And sort of understand like what these guys are actually doing, right? So yeah, these protests, it's there to divide people. And you've got your countries full of people that you can't trust. And you don't know which one side or the other, And so the wake-up time was quite a while ago, actually. But the second best time for that wake-up is right now. Right now. And that's what's going on. People are finally waking up to it, right? Like in the UK, it's a BS storm, right? What's going on there. And we'll wait and see, the protests. Next week is Remembrance Day. That's big for Canada and the UK. But if you are just kind of on the mainstream thing, it doesn't look good. Things are not looking good. Part of that media view is there to sort of wake us up. It's true. We're being shown how corrupt it is, how taken over it is. So first it was Agenda 2021, and then it turned to Agenda 30. And that's kind of what we're moving towards, is an Agenda 2030. And they might move it up to 2050, where their agenda gets pushed. In a way, they've been successful because they've indoctrinated a whole generation with what we're seeing, okay? And it's a subversion, it's an insurrection. It's definitely like a global coup, right? So what is happening is they're setting it up for the next rung of, so if they don't get away with it, by 2024, they have things set in motion in the future. So part of our job, and that was same thing in the Cold War in dealing with the Soviet Union, was running counterinsurgency. That's what's going on. That's what's happening in the States. Is there's a civilian counterinsurgency situation that has been activated, and people have to start thinking about it. You have to suss this out. These people, communism has only one aim, and that is to create this so-called dictatorship of the proletariat, and it's a revolution. Okay, so equate that with kind of how these warmongers want the forever war, right? Is kind of what we're seeing. The socialist world is unconsciously and consciously trying to create the forever revolution. That there's always this revolution. Inherently, that is anti-human. I guess I could start another channel and call it Guys Rants, because gee whiz, holy. Okay, so we're going to look at some cards. We're going to look at what do we need to see, what's going to help us, what's next, kind of the usual. What's going to help stabilize us? What do we need to know spiritually? What is going to sort of help stabilize some of this energy? Some of us that are on the awakening side, what do we need to hear? What's going to help? It's going to help us get through the next week, next couple of days, that kind of thing. What else is going to happen? Okay, let's see. Okay, so Wheel of Fortune in the present. So the Wheel of Fortune, Major Arcana card, talks about, this is I mean, this is the circle of life. This is the cycle. This is kind of what I was talking about. Moving into different areas of the timing, right? And so we can sort of understand where we're moving towards if we have a reference to what's behind us. But it's this major lesson of moving into a new era, right? This is the thing that we have to sort of understand. So when there is the down, like the downward motion in the wave, we understand that things are going to build up again. And this is kind of what we kind of have to understand. So, wow, temper the spirit within you right now, because outside the world is being sort of really drawn apart and right. So in any kind of revolution, in any shape or form, it's the first rung. Like you see, like if you're a chess player, it's the first line of pawns that usually get thrown away. They're positioned in such a way is that they're dispensable. And that's what we'll see. We'll see a lot of these people going off on both sides, fighting each other, but they just take each other out, okay? And it's utilized by the people that pull the puppet strings, right? So, crazy. So we, on the other side of it, that aren't getting so pulled into the engineered conflict that's being pushed upon us, and those that see the nature of the real conflict, we need to temper our energies, really access what the source is telling us, what our guidance is saying, because some of us are being told to sort of shift in ways that maybe are very unexpected. Now, spirit, where I'm coming from, never tells you to do harm. That inner voice, that intuitive voice that I'm talking about, always comes from a place of love, no matter how hard it may seem. That's one of your sort of tests, is when, if you are opening yourself up to listen to that, if it starts telling you negative stuff, like to take negative action, that is a sign to step away. It's not accurate. It's dark side energy, whatever that be. It could be your own subconscious, more than likely it is how the subconscious works, right? But it's a measure where you go, oh, wait a second, okay, clear. I need to connect with source. And I don't know how everybody has different ways. I have a way of resetting and connecting, and it is through prayer sometimes. But I cleanse my energy field through that, and I ask that source, that God, clear my energy field, and get to that first. That's what's needed right now. How do you know when you've been subverted? How do you know when your system has been taken over? It's hard to tell, right? Like your military, like this idea that the military is going to save you, or that, U.S. carrier group goes to the Mediterranean, so you got to identify like that's us over there. That's not you. In fact, you got to stop identifying with the military, with the U.S. captured government, the Biden-Obama regime that has captured this globalist. They're just puppets. They're just pawns, right? But it's a captured state, so you want to identify with that? Potentially the world division that's where the real fight is. It's like deep state elements fighting each other. Hey man, China and Russia coming together and creating the BRICS digital currency is no different than us fighting a central bank, foreign or a Federal Reserve central bank currency. It's the same. So if you haven't read 1984, read 1984. Read parts of it, go look it up, look up some of the excerpts from, the Emmanuel Goldstein character in that book, the manual that Winston Smith finds that basically tells him the truth. But throughout that book, he talks about how it doesn't matter. communists on one side, democracy on the other side. At the top, these guys have gotten together and they're greasing the same wheel, and they're just doing it to share power and control. And that's why it doesn't make sense. So we gotta get down with this notion. Have to get down with this notion, or it won't change. Okay, but yeah, energetically being charged, being recharged, prepared for the next thing. Okay, let's see, one more. Let's see what else. What do we need to know? What's going to happen in the next couple of days? Okay, so let's see what's going on. So funny, I keep seeing him, the King of Pentacles, as like Elon Musk in some ways, I guess, because he's this financial figure, and it's in this positive flip. And it's funny, I don't know, man, seeing these guys go back and forth. Yeah, I don't know. Seeing these guys flip back and forth is kind of tough, right? So it's hard to say, like, I mean, I would love to hear him come clean and say, like, look, I was wrong. Like, I had some notions. This is what happened to me. Who are the people that are backing him? That's good luck finding that out, right? And just how willy-nilly everything is. But that's good news when you have major people like him speaking this kind of dialogue. It is good news, right? Because it is going to wake enough people up to what's actually going on. Okay, and so that's why Joe Rogan's and these types, well, this might be also like a Tucker Carlson. This is like that type of character, right? Where people, the majority of people or the everyday people accept that viewpoint and their presentation because they're not much different, right? That's why people like Trump as well, because he's real, right? So that's kind of what we got to pay attention to, is some of those characters that are there on that stage, and not, we got to support them in some ways, but it's sort of like, got to pay attention to what some of the information that's coming out. We can utilize it in our day-to-day. We can utilize it in our own battles, I guess, in some ways, but yet that's what it is. And I mean, paying attention to who's on what side with this war is kind of an important thing. But it's, yeah, the money might be halted for the war, which is actually kind of a good deal. That, like, it might take longer. So it's like paying attention to these guys, halting of the war funds, right? We'll see kind of like a lessening of the escalation. And then when the money comes through for them, then that's when we start to see things escalate. And if that doesn't wake up people, I don't know what will. Right? It's like this thing of like Joe Biden giving $6 billion 2 months before all of this happened, and then all of this happens. And now they've got the Department of Defense and all these people talking about how Iran is a major threat, and that Iran is going to has developed nuclear capabilities. Who funded them? You've got this sort of reaching out beyond their capabilities, right? There's this sort of extending beyond. They're reaching. That's one thing we got to really realize. The deep state is really reaching. I mean, this thing with the protests, that's a big deal. I guess this is young people, sort of getting through to young people somehow in a better way. Being more connected to younger people, no matter how difficult that might be. Just having having that connection and having that communication is really key. Super big. I think some of the stuff around social media and young people really needs to be addressed. TikTok is so destructive, man. Anything that is short media form, shorts, no good. They're not being utilized in any way that's good. How can it be good? When a vast majority of it's garbage. It's just crap. And it's based on lies, a lot of it. It's not anything that's fact checked, or, it's so shallow and dumbed down. Well, what is wrong with saying that? What is wrong with actually like calling it out, right? I don't know. I don't even know what to say. It's so crazy, right? What this world has turned out. But it's more about having this dialogue, right? Like, a lot of us don't even understand why we are drawn to social media apps. Like, why are people so drawn to being hooked to these things, right? Why are the kids so dependent on it? Why have we been tricked into having this thing in our lives all the time? And it has to be done in a compassionate way. It has to be done in that sort of way that can be accepted. Like the wise. And I guess that's kind of what this is what I'm trying to kind of get at, is the the wise father figure, the healthy father figure, the that male energy that can call things for what they are, but also have enough temperance within their being to remain calm in the face of tribulation, right? And that's a really big part of it. So we got to keep going, and that's kind of what we need to find, is these little release points. The Ace of Wands is a super creative card. It's time to not wait. If you've been waiting on, activating certain things, like especially creative projects, or it's kind of like, yeah, we're moving towards this. We have this great opportunity to kind of move into kind of like an Aquarian age, or we are the precursor to it. And that is a huge gift, and it's beautiful. Okay, so that's a lot for today. I hope you enjoyed. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and wherever you are, take care, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye-bye.